Coach, thoughts on opening up NCHC play with Western Michigan at home this year?
Yeah, exciting to keep playing here. I know we had that bye coming off our first series, and I think the guys are excited to continue to play here and open up NCHC play with Western Michigan. So we're looking forward to the weekend.
It looks like Western scoring about 5 goals a game on average. Wow. What do you guys have planned to try and slow that down and keep them from getting some good looks?
Yeah, very high potent offense right now there. So the first thing that usually comes with that is taking care of the puck and managing the puck. You definitely don't want to give them opportunities to transition against you. I think they're a very direct team, play very fast, and they go north in a hurry. So we'll have to make sure we manage that puck accordingly and not give them those opportunities to have that transition game.
Are they a team that certainly, with that kind of average, really gets going on the aggressively, and the forecheck puts a lot of pressure on you all over the ice, but especially in your own zone, you're trying to come out?
Yeah, very big team, heavy, fast. They like to forecheck hard, so all of the above is correct for sure. So there's something you gotta get in their ice. You gotta work back together. You gotta be connected on your exits there, and that's one way to try to slow them down a little bit.
Starting off conference play with a ranked opponent, having someone come into your barn, what does that do in terms of momentum for where you can kind of spring off from that, either good or bad?
Yeah, it's great. I think anytime you get a high quality opponent in your building, it's exciting, and to have to open conference play against the number 11 team in the country, I think is also exciting too. So our guys, I know they get up for every game, but especially against those ranked teams coming in here. So it'll be nice test early on with conference play.
What do you think your team learned after this past weekend?
Again, I think just you gotta stick with it. Obviously, it'd been nice to come away at the weekend with one win at least. I thought that the guys deserved to win for one of those 2 games, but that's how it goes. Sometimes you gotta take it as it comes, and you just gotta keep progressing and keep growing. So I think that's the biggest thing right now is you just have to stay consistent in your approach, right? Especially as a leader. As a player, you gotta just kind of keep showing up and keep doing the things that you're doing correctly to eventually lead to success. So that's our motto right now. Just keep showing up, keep doing the work, and good things will happen.
Simon had a couple of great saves on Friday in terms of breakaways and just allowing you guys to get to overtime and get a point. So what can you say about his play, and what does that do to at least get something out of the series?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he played extremely good, and I think their goalie played extremely well as well. I think we outshot them both nights and didn't get much from it. So anytime you're against those big opponents, your goaltender has to play well and really give you a chance to be successful. And like you said, Simon did just that on Friday night there.
You mentioned Turnus's performance last week with Ohio State. How is it as a coach? How do you prevent frustration from settling in on the offensive side of the puck with having so many good chances and only coming up with 2 goals?
Yeah, I think you got to communicate and talk about it. I think you get a guy like Jack will be in here a little bit later. Jack Randall playing such good hockey. When you watch the video back, he's doing everything right and just not showing up on the score sheet. And again, that can be a little bit mentally tough as a player and how you handle adversity. So our job is to build their skill set up as a player to be able to deal with that, and knowing hockey's not going to just always be the way you want it to go, especially with good quality opponents in there. So really important about just talking about it, communicating that with them, telling them to stay with it, and they're doing a lot of good things. And then you have to role model that from a leadership standpoint as well too, right? You can't be panicking, you can't be up and down and swinging. You got to stay consistent and really make sure they know you believe in them and their abilities. So those are things we try to do to make sure that they're just progressing properly.
Special teams kind of played a factor last weekend. Western's coming in. I think
Sure.
they're number 1 on the power play. What are your thoughts on how to address that from a special teams perspective this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, it's so important, especially in those tight games. Especially for us right now, we couldn't score 5-on-5 plentifully, especially on Saturday night. And then our power play was struggling a little bit there. So when you combine both those things, you end up going 0-4 on the night. So you got to give your special teams have to be good for you, and you got to keep working on them. We spent some time on them yesterday, today as well too. So just keep building. I mean, they've been pretty historically strong for us, and just like we talked about with players, sometimes they can go up and down, but you just don't want that to extend for too long a period there. So definitely a focus of ours to make sure we're trying to be strong in our special teams, both with penalty kill and power play.
It's not quite as focused or intense in many ways on the calendar schedule-wise, but this is playoffs in so many ways when you're
Yeah.
in the conference now, even though it's just November.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the norm in hockey. I think there's, it's so high and low with just with the, the quality opponents and and it's not a short season, but with, not the crazy number of games sometimes. So, again, I think you just have to be consistent in your approach and have a plan for when adversity hits and making sure you're sticking with it and helping support the players. And, I mean, these guys are going through a lot, right? They go through the highs of a big win or the lows of a loss. And so one of the things you got to do is keep them kind of consistent in their daily approach and have laser focus on what's necessary to be working on. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is your actions you take. As much as you want to think about things or analyze things or it doesn't really help you get better. So we're just trying to make sure we're building that skill set up so we can just keep moving forward and doing the thing necessary to be successful.
Ohio State also a pretty big team as well. Is there anything that you could take from that series and transition over as you prep for Western Michigan?
Yeah, very similar. I mean, very similar. Two big teams that can move and have a lot of quality individuals on their rosters. So I think it's going to be a pretty consistent level of competition here going from Ohio State to Western Michigan.
What does Western do in the neutral zone when Omaha would be attacking? Ohio State showed that a lot of that 1-3-1
Yeah.
trap. And how about these guys? What do you maybe see on film in that important part of the ice?
Yeah, very similar. Very similar. Just a little bit different on who's where the forwards position, but very, very similar 1-1-3 from Western Michigan. And so, there's things you can do to combat that a little bit there. So, but they're definitely trying to, slow you down through the neutral zone, hold that line a little bit there, and kind of builds off what they do on the penalty kill as well.